Sixth Convention of Indian Tourist Transporters Association begins in New Delhi. Led by ITTA President Satish Sehrawat and the Convention Committee Chairman and Ho Secretary Kanwarjit Singh Sahne, the event revolves around the theme Partnership in Motion, Responsible Travel Trade Practices, he said.
Transport industry. The first person you see is Bobby Sani, who is not only a very active ITO member, he is also active now treasurer in Faith, and he is also very active in the Tourist Transport Association and also in Boki. And he is also very active in the Indian Chamber of Commerce, Aviation and Tourism Committee, Bobby. Indian Chamber of Commerce. No, he's already quit. He was telling me that my son has taken over, so I can give time to all these organizations. That is why he has multiple color tones. And second is Raj Bajaj. Whatever I have learned from his father, because I used to always call him senior president of ITO. And whatever time I spent in ITO was under the guidance of his father, and his father was the person who actually brought me into ITO actively. So I have a lot of respect and regard for him. And he is not only expert chairman of the railway committee of ITO and other organizations also, but he's also an expert in service transport, and his company Adventure Tours and Travels specializes in Australia. Next, everyone knows that she's the only man in the tourism industry, just like Indira Gandhi ko kehte the na, only man in the cabinet. So she's very dynamic, and I have known her since ages. Balbir is a very dear friend. He's like a brother. We know each other for a very long time. And so is Parnav Sarkar, who took over for me as ITO president. And Parnav, I have a lot of admiration for him because he was very methodical. और जब हम सर्विस टैक्स की लड़ाई लड़ रहे थे, तो रात को 10-10, 12-12 बजे तक ये वहाँ जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी मिनिस्ट्री में बैठ रहे थे, तो सारी पेपर वर्क में he was very good. And next is our president, Rajiv. Rajiv, I have known him ever since I was in ITO. I have said this many a time. I used to call him the pillar of ITO because एक बार जब हमारी बॉम्बे में कन्वेंशन थी, तो नेचुरली एज प्रेसिडेंट यू आर एक्साइटेड, रात को नींद नहीं आ रही थी, तो मैं 2-2:30 बजे उठ के नीचे मैंने कहा कॉफी शॉप में जाके कुछ खाते पीते हैं। मैं गया तो ये इसकी बेटी, इसकी वाइफ, ये वो किट बैग्स में वो डाल रहे थे। आई वॉज इमोशनली मूव्ड कि किसी आदमी में इतनी कमिटमेंट हो सकती है। That day I told him, मैंने कहा तेरी कमिटमेंट है, I will see to it that one day you are the president of ITO, and I am thankful to God that I have been able to keep, and even as ITO president, I think he's delivered a lot. So give him a big hand. और मेरा दोस्त, we shared the birthday together. ये golf एसोसिएशन बनाई, तो मेरे पास आया, कहता ये आई वोंट टेक द नेम्स, एयर इंडिया के एक आदमी है, वो मिनिस्ट्री जब भी कहती है गोल्फ के लिए उसको बुलाते हैं। मैंने आज से दिन गोल्फ एसोसिएशन का प्रेसिडेंट, एंड आई थिंक ही हैज डन अ ग्रेट जॉब। एंड Ashok has been president of the Tourist Guides Federation of India for a long time, and why I respect him more than any of the present presidents or anyone else, कि जब ये president था और ये अपना जगमोहन was a minister, तो ये हमारे पास आए ITO में कि यार गाइड्स तो कोई अवार्ड नहीं है, तो हमने जाके अवार्ड इंट्रोड्यूस कराया, और फर्स्ट अवार्ड के लिए बाय द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टूरिज्म, हिज नेम वाज दैट कम अप यूनानिमसली। इसने मना कर दिया मुझे, कहता नहीं मैं प्रेसिडेंट हूँ, मुझे अवार्ड नहीं मिलना चाहिए। सो दिस इज द सैक्रिफाइस he made that is the quality of a leadership who puts the organization before oneself. And in front of me, all these leaders are here, and they have really contributed a lot. And without the help of the guides, without the help of the tour operators, without the help of the travel agents, without the help of sports tourism, whether it's golf or anything else, there should have been Bobby a hotelier also on the panel, but
सर तुझी जनानियां भी मान रही हो होटलियर्स भी मान रही हो फिर से सालों अच्छा ऑप्शन है दी होटल का कमरा भी फ्री बोलना है
नहीं जनानियां मांग रही हैं. Anyway, so let's start the session. I think पंजाबी जी बोलते हैं जेड़ा बोले वो कुंडा खोले. ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੋਲੋ ਇਨੌਗਰਲ ਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਕਰੋ. ਹਾਂਜੀ ਦੱਸੋ.
What do you expect me to
on cooperation between the various associations and various segments of the industry.
A couple of years back when the respected Honorable Tourism Ministry requested me as ETA to train about 1,000 drivers for Commonwealth Games, which I said yes, and I did 940 drivers. I trained at HIPAA in Haryana Institute of Public Administration. At that time, I told the ministry, मैंने कहा आपका incredible India का slogan और अतिथि देवो भव का slogan starts from the driver of our vehicle at the airport. अतिथि देवो भव means, and believe you me, sir, from that day onwards, this process of togetherness started, and thanks to faith, which under umbrella which we have 10 associations, because everybody needs everybody. Our bread and butter is tour operators, adventure operators, travel agents. They need transportation. We are there to support them. Everybody, the high-end cars, the low-end cars. And the progress of ETA is that today you can see the best and the best of vehicles available in the market are showcasing their product. So as a part of ETA and as my personal profession of tourist transport operator, I have already assured and promised each and every person of the concerned association that we stand committed to the tourism industry. And absolutely, whatever you need assistance from us in whatever best way possible, we are there to support you.
Thank you.
I was in Taiwan, sir, recently on Ajit Bajaj's invite, and the Chief Minister requested me, what can we take from you as tourist transporter? I said to them that we are there to train the drivers of Arunachal Pradesh as and when you want. You can send as many numbers of drivers to Delhi. We will take care of their food and accommodation and train them. Or if you want us, we 2-3 people can come to Taiwan on our own expenses and train the drivers there. So that is the commitment I gave on behalf of ETA, and I give my same commitment to all the dignitaries on the dais that me as ETA and as Bakshi Transport stand committed to the association. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I think give him a big hand. And I must say that drivers are the really backbone of not only the transport industry but the entire country, because the entire goods, the last mile connectivity is done by the transport industry. You may bring the people on plane, but taking from the airport to the hotel or to the port or anywhere is done by me, and the interaction of the driver is very important. So I think what ITA should do is jointly the Automobile Association of India, because I keep visiting them and I have addressed a lot of drivers in the Automobile Association of India Institute. I think they also have simulators. So I think if all the ETA members can utilize the Automobile Association of India's resources, they have a good hall, lecture hall, and utilize those facilities. I mentioned to you also. So that is one facility which ETA should utilize and benefit from. Now coming after the road, we come to the rail. And from the rail, you know, he's an expert. Raj is an expert on rail tourism and luxury trains, and he is the biggest, promoter of rail tourism. So please, Raj.
Thank you, Goel Saab, and namaste to everyone. Before I start, you see on the query what you raised, I just say lucky are those who are blessed to legendary families. You see, I was the lucky one. I was sheer call of duty by my parents, brought me back from the Silicon Valley, having done my engineering on the tourism profession 1 week before IITO was formulated on 30th of January 1982. That was the time, the very first lesson which was taught to me by my father. He said, what is the definition of tourism? The definition of tourism is service to humanity. So that was, you see, the compassionate action which we carried on from the doctrines laid down by our visionary founder to the CSR responsibilities, because the session primarily talks about responsibility. So we have seen yesterday what a magnanimous moment we've had. Two wonderful families to share the platform with the Hall of Fame award. You know, the Sani family and the Taneja family, and the principles and doctrines laid down by their founders, the seeds which were sown by them. You see, we call it today the world of people formulation companies, but those were the seeds which were founded by legendary people. So I think full marks to the family corporations, we talked about in the previous session, and kudos and bless our Ratan Jot and the junior Taneja to carry on the mantle. With regards to what Goel Saab just said a while ago, from the gloomy COVID call, 2019 late or early 2020, right to the sunrise Amrit call, India were projecting that and hovering around 1.24% of the tourist arrivals. And the large scale targets, which were set up by our dynamic Prime Minister to a 5% share of the market, moving on from 2030 on to the 2047 with a 5 trillion economy. I think a lot is on our plate for the entire fraternity to work together. What is regarded and what is the three principles of the prism on which we have to work, which is R for reform, P for perform, and T for transform. So these are the three principles on which the entire fraternity has to work, be it called the hotels, or the transporters, or the railway people, or the inland waterways, the guides, Ministry of Tourism in a collaborative.
And from plane and train, because she's not only the past president of TAI, which is all the ITA Agents Association, but she's also the chairman of the Tourism Skill Development Council. So Jyoti, we'd like to know from you how, not only focusing on the hotel industry, because when I went to one of your events, I saw a lot of chefs and hoteliers being trained. But I think, what is your Skill Development Council doing to train drivers, to train, or upscale tourist guides? What are they doing, in soft skills to the owners of, the transport companies? So, are there any certificate courses you have in mind or something which can really help the entire industry moving forward together?
Thank you, Subhashji. Good evening to and namaskar and sat sri akal to everyone. I must congratulate ITA first. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I was here last year also when they had it, and I think it's a beautiful experience come forward. Taking the cue from you and also Raji, when I heard about skilling, yes. So, being the chairperson of skilling since the last 4 years, I think we've been skilling a lot. Firstly, to come to that, we actually completed more than 2 lakh people to be skilled in this industry, and it covers all aspects. It could be the hospitality, it could be the guides, it could be the drivers. We've done it for Ola, we've done it for Uber. We've just had a tie-up with Ministry of Tourism for the first time to train 1 lakh people for them. So we've been on a continuous process to train and actually not only train them at the first job, but also multi-skill them, upskill them. So we've been doing a lot with them, as a matter of fact, and because it is under the Ministry of Skill Development, we have our targets to complete, which we are doing absolutely, and we are doing more than what is deemed from us. But taking out my thought process forward, and when we talk about sustainability, we talk about association. I was the vice chairperson for Faith also. I think I'm going to take this a step forward. That skilling is very important. But when we want to talk about sustainability and responsibility, and that's what Bobiji told me, that is also the thought process in this session. I would say each and every person has a duty to fill in his life. It's not only about associations. It's not only about people heading the associations. I think this commitment needs to come from the entire industry. And when I say this, because we will only be able to sustain everything when the people-to-people connect of tourism progresses in the right format. And I believe, I heard someone say that ITA should have been doing this, or TAI should have been doing this, or ITA should have been doing that. But I say, if you are a member of these associations, why aren't you giving your best to make this association the best? So I think that is the first thing that comes into sustainability. Skilling is a huge, we are doing a lot of apprenticeship courses, so I am coming back to it. And recently I was in Varanasi, and we were skilling for NSTC. So of course there are simulators there, which we are skilling drivers though. But we are also skilling for world skills, and this is the second time that India has won on the world skill platform. There could be chefs, could be patisserie, could be other musicians. So we continue to skill a lot. But responsible and sustainable is the word that we all need to actually imbibe in our industry from all aspects and to all associations. Because unless we heard a wonderful talk for the father and son, I think that is the first step towards sustainability, because that is the first responsible thing that is happening within the families, that the tourism, that the business is moving forward and it's going towards a sustainable product. So I think all these things make a lot of difference, and skilling is not only drivers. Skilling for tourism has to be right from the ground to the aviation, so it has to be all the way around, because everything is needed. Soft skill is another aspect which you just touched upon, and I think soft skill is very, very important. Because without soft skills, even your drivers, who are drivers, do not get the best skills. And I say that very loudly because when we travel out, I still use a taxi and a cab from good companies a lot. But I've seen the first thing that comes into my mind is when the driver does not get down to open my door. I think that's the first thing which says, excuse me, when I travel to the European countries, the first thing I get into a cab, the cab driver says, good morning, how are you? Or they ask me, how was your day today? It's a normal thing. Here, we are not training our drivers to do that. I think it's time for us to change, to evolve, to change the aspect. Because you are the first point of contact when I get down at the airport. If my driver is not even standing out to open my door, I feel, oh, what's this? And I think these are very small things, but these need to be looked after. I just came back from Varanasi 2 days back. The driver firstly didn't open my door. Okay, fine. Secondly, he didn't even have a bottle of water in the car. I've come from a flight. I may need water. And then I bought a bottle from somewhere. And when I saw there was more tissue paper in it, I had to open my bag to take out mine. So I think these are very, very small things which don't really cost a lot, but I think these are the trainings we need to give. And I would be very happy to actually extend my hand going forward. I'm sure we'll be talking more about everything and sustainability also. But I would be very happy as the chairperson of the Tourism and Hospitality Skill Council to take this with ITA forward to say how we can do the short courses for them, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, and see that the soft skills are inculcated to every driver and every person who's in the ITA or any other.
I think that's going to be a great contribution, Jyoti.
Thank you.
From the Middle East countries. So what are their expectations, or what are their expectations on package tour? Whatever you want to say, you have your 2-3 minutes to say.
Thank you, Subhaji, and thank you, ITA, for giving me the opportunity to be here and part of you.
Thank you, sir, for your presence.
थैंक यू। और मैं हिंदी में बात करूंगा, हमारे ज़्यादा भाई लोग जो है आराम से मेरी बात को समझ सके, इसलिए मैं चाहूँगा कि मैं शुरुआती करूं हमारे राष्ट्रीय भाषा से। और शुरुआत जी के साथ मैं स्कूल डेज से मैं शुरुआत जी को पहली बार देखा था जब ये यूनिवर्सिटी के प्रेसिडेंट हुआ करते थे। तब से सुभाष जी को मैंने देखा, मगर मेरा कोई इरादा नहीं था कि टूरिज्म इंडस्ट्री होती क्या है, मुझे कुछ नहीं पता था। मगर सुभाष जी भी बुक पब्लिशिंग से टूरिज्म में आ गए और मैं जो है टूरिज्म पढ़ के टूरिज्म इंडस्ट्री में आया हूँ। मैं जो है पहला बैच कॉलेज ऑफ वोकेशनल स्टडीज में 1972 में एडमिशन लिया। 75 में टूरिज्म पढ़ के बाहर आया, तो मुझे पता नहीं है कहाँ नौकरी मिलेगी। फिर भी मैं जो है दर गया, मगर डेस्टिनी को कोई चेंज नहीं कर सकता। मगर मेरा जो इंटर्नशिप हुआ था तो अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस में हुआ था, उसमें बजाज साहब के फादर जी मुझे वहां मिले थे। उनसे मेरी गाइडेंस शुरू हुई सबसे पहले कि टूरिज्म होता क्या है, हाउ ए अमेरिकन टूरिस्ट कम एंड व्हाट उसके जो रिक्वायरमेंट है वो क्या है, कैसे वो बिहेव करता। और जब मैं आया नौकरी में तो उस वक्त जो है हम लोग एयरपोर्ट ड्यूटी करते थे, इम्पाला और सेवले वो गाड़ियां होती थी। एम्बेसडर गाड़ी तब भी नहीं आया था हमारे ट्रांसपोर्ट में जो फॉरेन टूरिस्ट को लेके एयरपोर्ट की ड्यूटी करेगा। और जो है बाकी मर्सिडीज गाड़ियां होती थी। मगर इस तरह हमने जो सीखा है ना टूरिज्म ट्रेड में, मैंने जो देखा है कि जो है डेडिकेशन जो होता है ना, जो आप समर्पण करके जो सर्विस देते हैं ना, उसकी आवाज दूर तक जाती है। और मेरा जो इंटरेक्शन है सबसे ज्यादा मैंने देखा है जब शुरुआत करी है, हमें टूर ऑपरेटर में क्या होता था, एयरपोर्ट ड्यूटी सबसे पहले मिलती है। और यंग थे तो उस वक्त एयरपोर्ट ड्यूटी उठाने में, फॉरेन टूर से मिलने में जो मजा आता था, वो सीखने का एक चाप और अलग ही था। तो ज्यादातर टाइम हम लोग गाड़ियों में होते थे, ड्राइवरों के साथ बैठते थे। उस वक्त कोई मोबाइल फोन नहीं होता था। एयरपोर्ट में जाते थे तो 4 घंटे फ्लाइट डिले, तो 4 घंटे गाड़ी में बैठे रहो सर्दी में। तो ऐसे हमारी इंटरेक्शन शुरू होती है। और मैंने देखा है ड्राइवर जो है वो पूरी तरह डेडिकेटेड होते हैं अपने काम पे, ये हमारे लिए सीखने की बात है। और उस वक्त भी कोई स्किल ट्रेनिंग नहीं होती थी, और जो भी सीखता था एक दूसरे को देख के सीखता था, या फिर समझाते थे हमारे बॉस लोग, तो वहां से समझ के सीख जाते थे और फिर अपना दिमाग इम्प्लीमेंट करके हमने सीखा। तो इस तरह सीखते सिखाते मैं अभी देखता हूँ कि राज ओझा जी अब आए हैं, इनका 3rd जनरेशन अब आया है, मार्केट में काम कर रहे हैं। आप लोगों का भी देखा फादर एंड सन। मैं तो बॉबी के फादर को भी जानता था बड़े अच्छे से, उनके साथ मेरे क्या मैनेजर साहब को भी जानता था, उनके फादर को, उनके साथ भी मैं ड्यूटी कर चुका हूँ मैं उनके साथ भी ड्यूटी कर चुका हूँ, बड़े बड़े लंबे लंबे टूर में गया हूँ। तो इसलिए जो है मेरे को सीखने का मौका मिला यहाँ पे सबसे। और मैं समझता हूँ कि सीखने की कोई उम्र नहीं होती है, और हमारी जो इंटरेक्शन है वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट रखता है, मायने रखता है। क्योंकि सबसे बड़ी बात है कि क्लाइंट सेटिस्फेक्शन, आपकी जो टूरिस्ट को सर्विस दे रहा है, कौन देता है सर्विस? सर्विस देता है हमारे जो ड्राइवर लोग हैं, जो हमारे गाइड लोग हैं, और जो
घर से मैडम
और हमारे जो ऑफिस में एग्जीक्यूटिव फाइल फाइनलाइज करते हैं, उनको ज्यादा पता होता है डे टू डे टूरिस्ट हैंडल करने का। उसके बाद मैंने सीखा मार्केटिंग का, कैसे मार्केटिंग किया जाता है। हमने देखा है कि जितने भी हमारे ट्रांसपोर्ट भाई लोग हैं, वो भी नजर रखते हैं किसके पास क्या काम होता है, कौन से मार्केट में काम है, सब चीज पता होती है उनको, और उसी हिसाब से वो भी अपनी गाड़ियों में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं और आते हैं। और हमारे फर्ज होता है कि हम सब भाइयों के साथ एक बराबर काम करें। तो हमारा जो इंटरेक्शन रहा है लोगों के साथ, वो यही है कि जो भाईचारे से जो काम हो सकता है, बहुत आसानी से हम लोग जो सर्विस इंडस्ट्री में हम कामयाब हो सकते हैं। तो मेरा तो जो भी रिलेशनशिप रहा है सबके साथ भाई भाई का रहा है, और हमने सबके साथ काम करने
रिस्पेक्टेड गोयल साहब, दादा, ज्योति जी, राज, राजन, किशोर जी, all my friends sitting in front of me. I don't know, is it last आप लोग सब सुन के काफी टाइम लग गया होगा आपको. But there are a number of points which I wanted to say. First of all, 90% of the organized काम, पर 90% जो काम आता है बाहर से, वो आइटम मेंबर्स लेके आते हैं. मैंने यहाँ पर दादा बैठे हुए हैं, इनको देखा बैग पकड़ के, झोला पकड़ के, 50 साल के पास को देखा बैग पकड़ के इधर देखा जा रहे उधर जा रहे काम आ रहे. अब एवरीवन हैज टू अंडरस्टैंड कि अगर हमारे लोग बाहर नहीं जाएंगे, सेल्स नहीं करेंगे, गवर्नमेंट कुछ करने नहीं 5 साल से, ये लोग जा रहे हैं बाहर और पैसे खर्च करके WTM 8 ITB में स्टॉल लेते हैं और वहाँ पर बिजनेस प्रमोट करते हैं. अब कई इंस्टेंसेस हो रही हैं जहाँ पर बिजनेस हमारे टूर ऑपरेटर भाई जो आईटी मेंबर्स हैं वो लेके आ जाते हैं. उसके बाद समहाउ या तो कोई ट्रांसपोर्टर या उसको कोई ड्राइवर या कोई गाइड वो कह रहे मैं ही हूँ सब कुछ जो हूँ, ये तो ऐसे ही है बंदा जो IT बनाने नहीं आती, ऐसे मैंने सुना है लोगों को. बट जब एवरीवन हैज टू अंडरस्टैंड कि जो अगर हमारे लोग नहीं जाएंगे बाहर, बिजनेस नहीं लेके आएंगे तो आगे काम नहीं चलेगा. बट यस, जो मैं काम लेके आ रहा हूँ उसके लिए मेरे को सबसे पहले ट्रांसपोर्टर बढ़िया चाहिए, ड्राइवर उससे बढ़िया चाहिए और गाइड उससे बढ़िया चाहिए और होटल्स तो नहीं है. तो ये सब कुछ होने के लिए आपस में हमारे को कॉपरेशन चाहिए. कहना बहुत आसान होता है कि वो तो ले आया, एक ट्रिप बाहर लगता है आज के दिन में 5 से 7 लाख रुपए लग जाते हैं हमारे मेंबर के बिजनेस लाने के लिए. तो हमें उसको रिस्पेक्ट करना चाहिए कि वो लेके आ रहा है और आप लोगों को सर्विसेज देनी है. और आप लोग तो ये भी नहीं है, मेरे को कई कंप्लेंट आती है कि ट्रांसपोर्ट के पैसे दिए, क्यों नहीं दिए यार, वो गाड़ी पानी में चलती नहीं, डीजल चलती है, पेमेंट टाइम पे करनी चाहिए सबकी, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. चाहे वो गाइड हो, चाहे ट्रांसपोर्टर हो, कोई भी हो, हर चीज की पेमेंट टाइम पे होनी चाहिए, मेंटेनेंस होनी चाहिए. तो ये सब लोगों, पहली बात तो मेरी यही है कि जो काम लेके आ रहा है उसको रिस्पेक्ट दीजिए. और उसके बाद फिर आप उसको रिस्पेक्ट देंगे, ट्रांसपोर्टर और ड्राइवर और गाइड, यू विल कम ऑन रिस्पेक्ट. अल्टीमेटली ऑन द ग्राउंड काम हम लोगों ने करना है. थोड़ा सा ऑफ द रिकॉर्ड, अभी आज सेशन चल रहा था फादर एंड सन का. पता नहीं आप लोगों के पास कितना इंटरेस्ट इसका वो आता है. एक्चुअली मेरा ये कहना है कि बच्चों को सिखाओ काम, उनके आस्ता आस्ता उनको दो, बट दे मस्ट लर्न. अब आप में से कई लोग मैं जानता हूँ जो ड्राइवर थे, आज फ्लीट ओनर बने गए, और उसमें आप हो, आपका जो ऑफिस का स्टाफ था वो था, आपके साथ वो ड्राइवर्स थे जिन्होंने आपको मदद करी सर्विस दे के, ताकि आप इस मुकाम पर पहुंच जाए कि आज आप एम्प्लॉयमेंट देंगे. मगर आजकल बच्चों की आदत क्या है, पापा उसको निकाल दो, पापा इसको निकाल दो. वो ये सोचे गया है कि पापा के साथ वो खड़े हुए थे तभी तो गया है लंदन पढ़ने के लिए, नहीं तो नहीं जाता. तो ये बच्चों के लिए मेरी ये है कि भाई
You are watching Travel World Online.